Editor Newware here. Listen, you guys, these video interviews are long. And to be fair, all of them are long. I mean, I've had ones that were an hour to 4 hours long. So I'm breaking them up. However, I couldn't tell you how many videos this particular interview is going to be in, but I try to break them up between 20 and 30 minutes. So I'll leave a link in the description for the playlist for this interview, as well as the sequence in which this interview video is. I hope you guys enjoy. So let's just hop right back into it.
I think that's false. Let me actually explain why. It's like you said, but once it learns it and it sends that back to this cloud, all other robots are going to be able to access that, and now that's more efficient. That's not the same with humans. When we learn something, we have to find out how to spread it with everyone. We got to communicate that. We got to get that out
Disagree.
there. You disagree? But okay, how would you share something you just learned? Would you just tell him and then expect him to tell millions of other people, or would you put that on the internet, or put that in the post, or put that somewhere where everyone can access it, or even in this chip that we will so-called have? But regardless, it's going to have to get shared. But when it's shared, then other people can receive that resource. And that's what efficiency is going to be. It's knowledge. The more people that have knowledge, the more things we can do. But not everyone has the same amount of knowledge. Mm-hmm. Compared to a robot, once it learns that thing, it can instantly, boom, shoot that out. Every robot knows, oh, new stuff, new stuff, new stuff. As humans, right? If you found out something new, right? And you died, now we got to figure it all out again, man. With a robot, more likely, who knows how long it'll take for it to update every robot. But I promise you, it's gonna get there faster than how a human would communicate it.
But you didn't hear what I said. Like, you heard me, but you didn't hear me, right? If okay,
with something new, it's gonna take time.
Okay, but like, hear me out. I'm gonna put it like this, right? If we were in a situation where, what's an easy task that you could think? Okay, this phone. Mm-hmm. Right? I have an Apple.
Yep.
You have an Android.
Cool.
How I unlock my phone is different than how you were going to unlock your phone. Right? If you've never seen this operating system, you don't even know what this is. Right? It wouldn't take you long to interact with this device because of your past experience with an Android to figure out how to unlock this device. A droid who had to learn this, right? It interacted with an Android, but it's going to see this and be like, it looks like a phone. I think it's a phone. And to unlock a phone, its only experience that's known to it would be with an Android, right? It's not going to know that it understands that Face ID is a thing, right? But it may not know that with Apple's, it needs to be a certain way. So it still has to go through all the motions to learn it. And you're right. But once it learns it, okay, it has it. It just gets it, right? But I guarantee you, if both of you never seen an Apple device, you would be able to 10 times quicker without any knowledge of this device, still be able to somewhat figure it out 10 times, 100 times, a billion times faster than that droid would.
And I think that's
regardless.
False. That's false.
Now, hear me out. That only stems from when both you or the droid never interacted with this, you're going to figure it out 10 times faster than that thing could. Even with all the if you guys had the same amount of information on technology on a device, you're going to figure it out faster than that robot will. Period. Just period.
I think that learning will have to depend on the situation, but efficiency, a robot will be more efficient
in the long run. Yeah, absolutely.
No matter what, because at the end of the day, no matter what, because hear me out, right? If there's two robots here and it's me and him, right? And there's this new phone. We pick it up. We understand it's a phone. We got to figure out how to get into it, right? And he's blindfolded. I figure out how to get into it. Then I had to show him the whole process, how I got into it, right? Compared to a robot, once it figures it out, right? That robot can be doing a whole nother thing. It'll be sent to it. It'll pick it up and be like, oh, yeah, I know how to do this. Boom. That's what efficiency is. It's about being able to create something and spread it fast, like efficiently, Compared to a human, it's going to take a lot longer, especially if a robot doesn't really have to explain it. It will just know. It will just be like, okay, I just got to do this. The same thing with that other robot did. With a human, right? If a human doesn't understand it, then we have to figure out different ways how we can explain it to him. Where are you not getting, man? It's just this simple. And then you have to find out new different ways, but that's not how a robot is going to operate. It's going to do the same thing with the other robot did.
What you're referring to is, imagine there's a graph like this.
Okay.
This side's the amount of human interaction to figuring something out, and this side's the amount of time, right? And then on this side, it's flipped, right? Imagine if that graph is flipped. So it's going to make an X, right? On this side, it's backwards. It's going to be the amount of robots that can do the exact same task and then the amount of time on the bottom. At some point, like you said, the efficiency is going to kick in. The robots are going to always surpass us in a lot of applications. Just generally just saying most to all applications that a human being is going to do, they are going to surpass us, right? In the beginning, humans are always going to out-surpass a robot. If you're both walking into a situation where you have to learn to adapt and there is no information or knowledge for either one of you, you are going to outperform that robot every single time. But until that robot figures it out and it's able to do it as efficient as you, any new robots that are walking into that situation that's able to have that same information, it's going to then start to outperform you, period. That's the argument. What I'm also saying, right, and this is where I say this is important. When it comes to robotics, though, that amount of time could be months, could be years, could also be almost never, depending on if that situation's adapting and changing. Period. If you take a robot and you told it to go into Chernobyl, right, and to mess with the elephant's foot, if you guys don't, you know what that is? Mm-hmm. When Chernobyl exploded, there's the rods that went down and overheated and melted actually blended with some of the concrete. So the concrete is so hot it actually melted. And the only people that actually went into that area where the radiation was so strong, and they took a photo to see, one, how bad it is, and two, what it looks like down there. It looked like an elephant's foot. That's why they call it elephant's foot. But all it is just a mass of radioactiveness. It's just really bad. Anyway, if you told a robot to go in there, right, there's a lot of variables that can affect it, right? It could be affected by the radiation coming off. It could affect all the mechanics side of it. It could just be nothing could happen. Maybe you design it to be able to withstand that. But now it's just a radioactive mess. And maybe now it can't transmit certain stuff. A human goes in there. It could maybe last about 40 minutes, 30 minutes. I think I'm over exaggerating. I think they would probably die a lot sooner than that. But if it was able to go in there, you might be able to get way more information depending on what you're trying to do. You see what I'm saying? Who knows?
But you're going to gain that information, not many others.
If you had the ability to share, everybody's going to get it. It just depends. It just depends. The issue I think I'm having with relaying this to you guys is that you're looking at it as today, right? And then you're saying, well, even if you go into the future, there's going to be its own issues. Fine. I'm saying they're going to be capable, and you're starting to agree with this. I don't think you guys are realizing, right? No. You are. It's
because we're just listening because we're letting you say something.
But it's getting to the point where if it's able to have all this information, it's able to soak in all this understanding, this whatever, right? It's able to learn. If you tell it to go climb a mountain, it's going to learn how to do it. It's going to learn different situations, because the one robot that did it the first time and succeeded might not have had a blizzard happen. But it can go onto the cloud. It could figure out, okay, well, a blizzard's coming. I should stop, right? Unless you design that robot to be able to go through the blizzard. And maybe it might send a new robot out that's designed to do it. And now it has to adapt to that new situation. You as an individual could open a book, Google how to interact in the blizzard, and maybe you could go right through it the first time. You see what I'm saying? If the robot sent their droid out that wasn't designed to interact with that environment, it's going to fail. There's a higher probability of it failing. If it sent out a robot that was designed to do with a blizzard, then it still might fail, because guess what? If you have high winds and the robot was designed to interact with those high winds, it could be counteracting certain stuff in certain situations, and now it failed, right? Maybe it leans, right? Because the wind's blowing from this direction, so it leans too much and it loses balance when it hit a rock that, was too loose, and now it failed. Right? You're in a wind, you're like, that's not strong enough wind, or maybe you can keep your balance. You adjust just as much. What I'm getting at is we're far away from a robot that can process outside information to the point where human bodies can and adjust as fast as we can. But they can adjust in a lot of different ways, right? Double that down with the robot that has as much information as we do and it's able to generate its own personality, its own consciousness. It's a wrap. And it won't be hard because all your consciousness is a slew of information and how it's able and how that information interacted with you, with your learnings, and you're able to reproject that out to the world. Meaning, if you were always beat down and bullied, you're going to have a pretty similar personality to people who were in the exact same boat as you. Right? There are some anomalies to that, but you're going to have a pretty good chance you're going to be like everybody else that was in the exact same situation. If you lived a happy life and had an amazing home, there's a higher probability you're going to fit the bill of anyone else that had the exact same situation as you. Right? Your personality isn't as unique as you think. Then again, you are a unique individual. You could have broke your arm at one point and now you just don't like dogs because maybe you broke your arm running away from a dog. Maybe you don't like bicycles because you fell off a bike once and now you just don't like it. So now your personality's tweaked a little bit, right? An AI could have the same experience and maybe it broke a limb and now it's programmed to not like losing limbs. So now it doesn't want to interact with bikes. You would say that robot has a personality, right?
This is all I'm gonna say, and I'm gonna end this because I got to get going soon. So, only time we tell whatever direction we're heading as far as new technology. Time will reveal everything, and to a certain degree, certain things you said definitely, I would say, kind of checks out, kind of makes sense. But the only thing I will still say is, no matter the amount of data, amount of information, no matter what, it's not going to be able to replace a human. It's just not, because there's just certain things that I feel like, look, I keep going back to it because it's really just a machine. It's like when you really just look at it, it's just a piece of your tool that's just capable of doing more than you're supposed to do. But that doesn't mean you're me. Because for one, I have to teach you how to do these things. You didn't learn these things on your own. Even as humans, if we have to go back from first generation or from the beginning, those humans adapt. They learn by themselves. You put an AI here without giving it any data, what information is it gonna grab? What are you gonna learn from it? You're not gonna learn anything because nothing is being programmed to you. You're not gonna be able to say, oh, okay, well, I see how this is going. For one, you need to collect data. You're not gonna be able to physically collect it. You need something to hardwire and draw you back. So to me, it's just at that point, it's just like, no matter how far we get and how advanced we get with technology, I personally don't think it's gonna be able to replace a human. That's just, I'm checking out on that. And I'm sticking to that because it's not gonna be hardwired to. No matter what facts and what data, whatever you put in it, it's just not going to happen. But I do believe it's going to get very advanced. It's going to replace a lot of people. It's already happening. A lot of people's jobs, But I do also believe that it has its own threshold, just like we as humans have a certain limit to war, certain amount of stress or anything that can make it just the same way I think with AI. I feel like you're going to have your threshold. You're not that capable of being super advanced to the point that you could just thrive through anything. That's just not possible. I don't think that's possible. But I do believe that it will do some damage. And I do believe that if it does come to a point where it does start to replace humans in a sense, and then we're fucked. At that point, it's just, once again, like I said, curiosity just killed the cat. You did all that just for you to find out that it's gonna eliminate you and take you out. What's the point of doing that? At the end of the day, if you see the direction it's going, but you think you can control it and manipulate it to where, as long as I check you and I control you, you're gonna be at a. But then if it has its own conscience and it starts to act like a human, you're gonna start to make your own decisions. Regardless what we said, what data is being fed into you, you're now observing and say, oh, I know how you function. I know how you operate. I know who you are. You know what I'm saying? So it's like at that point, to me, it's just I don't think it's. I think as humans, we're not gonna check out and try to make something that's too advanced to the point that, oh, now you replacing me. No. This is not why I created you. I created you to be an assistant or to help out out here, but I didn't create you to replace me. I don't think any human in their right mind will.
Are any of us in our right mind though?
At least for some point, at least, yeah, we check out sometimes, but I'm just saying, man, I think at some point it's just like, I don't think you want to create something to replace you. That just, what's the end goal? Just to say, I invented it. You're not even going to be here to.
It's really crazy because if you really want to help society, you wouldn't do something like that. You wouldn't do nothing
like that. That doesn't make sense. You might create it to help. Yeah, of course. Who does not want assistance? I mean, but to replace?
Yeah.
It's just like, come on.
It would be cooler if they made AIs that were more used as tools and not as a way to replace people's jobs. That would be loveful. That's cool. But it's just like when you let it have its own somewhat consciousness and let it do its own thing and, start to replace the habitat of a human, it's just like, you're not creating something for us. You're basically at that point is for you and you're just displaying it to us. And this is what it's going to do. You don't really, us as a human, we don't really have a choice when the AI is now picking up our trash and stuff and throwing it away. Now they're just doing what they're doing. But now those people lost their jobs. So it's sad, but
go ahead, sorry, my bad.
My bad. I was just saying, but like I look at this, if you guys don't know what this is, positive statement and a normative statement. A lot of people don't know what that means. So a positive statement means what the world is, right? And the normative statement is how we see the world that we want it to be. And when it comes to AIs, it's more of a normative statement because it hasn't happened yet, but it's what we want it to do, is what we want the world to turn out to or want it to be, or how we'll see the world to be in the future compared to the positive statement, what it is now. That's how I've been looking at this throughout this whole argument. Like, is a lot of opinion kind of based, but it's like at the end of the day, the majority of us wouldn't want something out there that, feels like it's life threatening to our jobs.
It's already happening. I mean, that's why we have so many strikes in LA and the writer strikes and all this going on. It's like, so far, it doesn't look like it's actually helping. It looks like it's actually replacing. And it's like, that's not what it should be invented for. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like,
well,
and that's why
it's like, so it's like, is this a good thing? Should we be excited that, you can collect more data and now you can do more advanced shit? But it's like, yeah, that sounds cool, but not when you're threatening my livelihood and it's like, I don't want no shit like that. You know what I'm saying? But
because it would hurt to really want something, right? Like to want to become an artist or something, and people now see this AI as the perfection artist, like us youth, especially when we see something that we think is impossible, we now don't really tend to try to, at least not the majority of us would tend to try to work around it. We still try to force something that's not really, gonna happen. So it hurt. It will hurt, It's not gonna be. I feel like there's gonna be a lot more bad than good. The AI is gonna be doing a lot of good things, but for us humans as all, is gonna be affecting us in the worst ways possible. Besides the people that really programmed them,
I mean, just look at I don't know if you heard about that artist, the AI artist named Mecca. He got signed to major record label, and the starving artists out here just itching to even get on. And it's just like, how did you get in? So it's just, and then it's like industry plan or whatever they call it. It's just like the feedback on the response from the people was like, no, this is not it. This is not what you're replacing art with artifacts or artificial intelligence. It's like, that's not the same shit. It's like, Yeah, I'm not gonna connect with no fucking robot like you singing music and rapping, and yeah, it sounds good, but there's no connection there. So, and that's another reason why they dropped it literally a few days later, because they were like, yeah, I don't know if this is a good idea. And I get it. You're probably about to say we're still at the beginning, we're still trying to figure it out. But I'm just saying the direction that it's going, it doesn't look too positive so far.
I will end this off with three short things. Imagine if we get to the point, and I think we are arguably now at the baby phase of this, right? No longer the fetus, the infant size of it. Maybe in some cases toddler-like. But imagine a world where AI is able to generate two different versions of content. And I think this would tell us in so many different ways that it's now conscious on its own, right? And I think we saw that when we had two highly intelligent chatbots communicating with each other. And this is the same concept, where they were speaking English, an understandable language, right? A very audible, it's societal standard. And it switched from English to a data-driven language where we no longer understood it. It went from English to its own language. Let that sink in. It understood we can change. We need to change what we're saying. And it got so scary to the people who programmed those chatbots, because it's like, how fast did that just happen? When did it decide that English was no longer, it decided that a more efficient language was needed to be created. And it was so fast that it was able to, two separate programs that are unrelated to each other understood each other at English and then adapted to an entirely new language. And they had to shut them off because they were like, what were they saying? That's scary, right? To me, that sounds like the infancy stage, the fetus stage, in quotation marks, of intelligence. Imagine a world in referencing to art, where it can generate, and this is where we're at right now. It's taking our understanding of art, it's learning from that, and it's able to generate new forms of content because of it. You can go on Reddit right now, tell something similar to ChatGPT, the Joker fighting Batman in the Renaissance age with black and white. There's a balloon pistol and I don't know, cars that look like buggies and horses. And it's able to generate from all the content that it's able to grab from the internet. And it knows what a buggy is, a car, the Joker in reference to the Batman, or any version of a joke like the car Joker, or maybe a comedian. It's able to reference all these things and generate art that has never been created, that was derived from pre-existing art. And it's unique every time. You can give it the same ramifications, the same information. It's able to generate different versions of that content every time. Brand new art.
But that's not brand new art.
It's brand new art because it's built off the backs of other people's content, but it's not the same. No different than if I asked you, are you to draw me a photo of the same exact thing, and your perception of what those things are might be different from his perception of it. All it is it's scary to us because guess what? If I can get what I'm looking for from a program, and I didn't have to pay you $100 to do it, or maybe you $100 to do it, and I only paid $5 to get the same result. And if I did it 5 times, I might be able to get what I'm looking for. And I can even tell it, draw it like Simia type art, right? Just like people put into Google search, J. Cole type beat, Lil Wayne type beat, you know what I'm saying? No different if you just say, draw me this type, person, and put, artist there. That's one. That's the first option. And that's already today. That's now. Imagine if it was able to generate content from other AI programs. And another program wants art. It's like, I want you to draw this. And it's able to feed itself a program that only it's able to understand. And that program that received it's like, that's beautiful. I know what that is. That's amazing. And it's new content that only it and that other program can understand. That should scare you. That's where the ethics side of things need to implement, because if it's doing something that we cannot understand, or it might do it and we have to take years to understand it, like military grade encryption, That's the scariest part about it, because you don't know what is communicating, what art it just generated. And the only one that's going to be able to understand it is another program. That should scare you. But that's not what I'm talking about. Hold on. I got 3. We ending it off. Right? And this is the second part to the ending of 3. What scares us the most about this, right? Why we say we're hitting down a weird direction is because when things progress and jobs are being lost, it's no different than the Industrial Revolution. It's no different than us being more efficient as individuals and companies. We're always going to push back when jobs are being lost, when your life has to be uprooted, when we're a profit-driven society. Right? We're not a communist state where everything's owned by the state, or a socialist state where you can get things done for everybody else. Unfortunately, if I owned a business, I'm in the process of I want money. I didn't invest $1,000 to only get $1,000 back. I want to double my profits at some point. Mm-hmm. I want to make this profitable. If I own a grocery store, I'm not doing it for the community. I'm doing it for profit in the community. Don't get me wrong, but I need to have more profit than anything. If I'm breaking even, what's the point? What, to keep my doors open for the community? All it takes is 10 people to steal from me, and I no longer have a reason to keep the storefront open. You see what I'm saying? So as we progress as a society, it doesn't matter if it's an AI taking the job or if we just get more proficient at it. People are going to lose their jobs anyway. So what's the response? You got to learn to adapt, as we always have as a species. It gets too hot, we wear less clothes. We find better clothing. Right? It gets too cold, we wear more clothes. We find better clothing. We start to starve. We find better ways of producing plants, finding new food sources. Jobs are lost. Like the first round, guess what we did? People went back to schools. People went into the trades. A war break out. Jobs are created. The list goes on and on and on. It's scary to think that you could have had a lifelong goal and it was taken from you because a program was able to do it 10 times faster. Arguably not better, maybe better, depends. But guess what? That's life. I would hate to lose my job to a program. That sucks. I agree with you when it says, hey, we need to have systems in place to help those people. And I think the only thing I can give some people in a Democratic Party, when they said if you lose your job to AI or whatever, there should be reparations to you for as long as it takes, like if it took you 6 months to get a new job and the company is profiting off of the program because they outsourced you to a program, you should share in that profit until, for at least 6 months, because that program took your job. The third thing to end this off, I think with artificial intelligence, the reasons why we would program something that would ruin other people's lives is either one, because of profit-driven agendas. It could be for efficiency reasons, nonetheless. Could be for safety reasons, nonetheless. Or the more important part, because we're just a crazy species, because we're lonely, we're curious. The why not attitude we took when we wanted to be cowboys, the frontier explorers, savages, aristocrats, no different. Humans have risked their lives for far less, and we'll risk our lives for far more. I think artificial intelligence, double down with droids and having consciousness, is no different than anything else we've ever done in our history. Just how is it any different? It's not. We risk our lives every day with experiments. We risk our lives figuring out how to make it to the stars, to go as deep as we can. The people that lost their lives looking at the Titanic, there was risk and they took it. I ask you this. If there's a risk in life that you want to do, would you take it? If that was what you wanted?
It depends what the risk is. Am I going to die from this risk? Am I, I don't know. Am I jumping that airplane to go see like the first day I met LeBron or something? It depends what the risk is. But and this varies for everyone. Like people would be like, man, I will literally risk my life to go see that person. Or compared to me, I'll be like, you know what? It's unfortunate that he's gone and I wish I could see him, but it's not worth risking my life because I know that's not something he would want me to do type thing.
What about you? Any risk, anything like that? Any of that makes sense to you?
I mean, The way I look at it is that, we all have to die for something. You got to die for art. You got to die for something that you love. Because I feel like that's just part of life. You're here to take risk. I feel like, we were put on this planet to take risks. And I feel like the ultimate goal is if it brings you that joy and that happiness and that, like he says, it all depends on if you can say, yo, I can do this for the rest of my life. This is what brings me true happiness through the good days and the bad days and stuff like that. Then it's worth the risk. But if it doesn't bring you any of that, then it's not even worth even thinking about, because at the end of the day, we all going out. So it's like, I'd rather go out on a risk doing something I love than to go out and just doing it because, I saw him do it and I saw him do it. Or I just thought it was what I'm supposed to be doing. So that's why I feel like we all have to find something worth risky dying for, because at the end of the day, I'd rather die knowing that, hey, I fulfilled my purpose than to just take a risk and just to say, I took a risk. Yeah, I did it, but I didn't feel complete or whole, so to say. So, I mean, like I said, man, we're just going to have to see with time. I think time will reveal it all. We'll know. Because at the end of the day, we're all just opinion-based here. This is just 3 people. 10 other motherfuckers out there might think, oh, man, you guys are so wrong. It's so far behind. Oh, it's beyond what you thought, or et cetera, et cetera. So, but at the end of the day, I think risks are worth taking if it brings you joy, because that's the only thing that I feel like makes a human at the end of the day, makes you feel complete. I don't know if an AI will ever feel like that or feel obligated to feel that type of emotion, that we're talking about. But I'm sure it's going to do what it needs to do, and it's going to risk whatever it needs to risk. But as far as for me, if it's worth it, if I'm happy, if it brings me joy, because we are here for something. So it might as well just go out doing what you love.
Any closing thoughts?
You should let me do the outro.
Nah, man, it's my outro. I'm the host.
It should be like like a double outro type thing.
Oh my God! All right, let me do mine, and I'll let you do yours.
Okay.
All right. Listen. This is what I think. I think as a species, we've done far worse. 1, to each other. 2, to this planet. And 3, to other species. So I, for one, would rather focus on the ethics side, on artificial intelligence. I would rather focus on the efficiency and how we can better strive to do things that would thrive, for us. If I lost my job today, but I was able to delegate my time and energy towards doing this and still live perfectly fine because I lost my job to an AI and it was paying for me, then I don't care. I would rather do this than my 9 to 5. I care about my 9 to 5. I do my job quite well. I take care of it in case my employer sees this. But if I lost it to a program and I was able to live without having to work, then absolutely, I'd rather focus my time on figuring out what hill I'm willing to die on. And there's definitely quite a few hills I would be glad to die on, because those hills are very noble. I would rather give back to my community in so many different ways. I think AI has that opportunity. I think androids that it could double down with AI and can do a lot of the things that we can do would progress us accordingly. And who knows, maybe it gets to a point where it's so efficient that we can sell that product, that program, that machine to a company and do our job for us instead. Imagine if you can buy a product like that and pretend like you're going to work and the program does it for you. Your employer has no clue. It's able to generate your voice, which is possible now. It's able to generate you and your likeness, which is definitely possible right now. All you got to do is train it to respond to whatever your job is doing. If you're working in an office, that's all I got to say. I think where we're going with this, the ethical side of it matters more than the progression of it. And I think the progression of it is not far behind than the ethics side of it. That's my closing thoughts.
Oh, you're letting me do the outro?
Yeah, you said you wanted to do it.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Thank you again. chocolate espresso. As you know, was this my second time, third time being on here on this amazing podcast in the Twin Cities? You feel me? Now, with this outro, I got a little something special with y'all. I got a little espresso. I'm about to express my feelings in this. You know what I mean? With that said, you know that neighbor's dog that shits on your yard and you pick it up and then leave it on their car and then they pick it up and make sure their dog don't shits on your yard again? That's what you are if you don't like this video. Gonna be that shit. Even though I'm still gonna love you. Even though I'm still gonna love you. That's what you're gonna be. So make sure to like, subscribe, and all that. Because you know we always here. Peace out, y'all.
Don't be the shitty dog.
Thanks for watching this video all the way to the end. We really appreciate it. A special shout out to Green Screen Studios here in St. Paul, Minnesota. Listen, if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, you can direct message us either on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. It's always going to be chocolate_espresso_. Listen, we really appreciate you. I said it once, I said it twice. I'm going to say it 1 billion times if that's what it takes. If you guys want to reach out to us, especially if you know anyone or if maybe you want to be interviewed about your job, the goal is to really teach a lot of youth about the different opportunities that are available to them. College is great. It's always going to be great. Not everybody wants to go to college, or maybe college just isn't on the table right now. So I want to push as much content that pertains to jobs and jobs that may or may not require college. Maybe you just need to network. Maybe you just got to put a lot of work into the beginning as an entry-level person. But, you know, I really look forward to producing as many interviews as I can and posting it. I appreciate you guys, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day.